Today is April 24th, 2024. It is 12:33 a.m. This is the week of my birthday. My birthday is on April 26th of this year, which is on Friday. A little bit about me. My name is Kat, or you can call me Kaz, depending on what city I'm in. But I'm a Gen Xer, and I've been having the last 5 years, especially since COVID, have been some of the most trying times that I've ever experienced. And it's been hard to find and maintain my bearings. And it's like, I don't know. But what's happening now is, let me start with this. About a year and a half ago, um, I moved back to Texas to live with my mom because she had a stroke and she also had Parkinson's and dementia. And me being the eldest out of three, I felt it was my duty to take care of her. And she didn't want anyone else to take care of her anyway because she wasn't that close to my sisters. Um, so I decided to come back to Texas and take care of her because I was so depressed in New York. All of my friends had either moved or one of them died, and so I was feeling very lonely in New York. And coming back home was something that I welcomed. And it was an honor to be able to take care of my mom. Um, well, my mom, she passed away 2 days ago on Sunday, April the 21st. Um, she had a long battle. It was a long battle. She had been dealing with Parkinson's for, well, noticeably, for a good 5 years. And, you know, this this channel is called Just Being Real with Myself. And I'm being real right now. I don't know how to feel. I'm sad. And I'm relieved at the same time, if that makes any sense. Um, I was my mother's only caregiver, her sole caregiver. My two younger sisters just started coming around. My middle sister just started coming around to help with my mom a month ago. And my baby sister had not seen my mom in years. She had not seen my mom in years. And they both live in Texas. Um, and I was living way across the country in New York. But I don't know what to feel. I feel really weird. Um, I was my mom's favorite. She's told people that. She's told other family members that she felt closest to me, especially since I was her firstborn. Um, and it's just very hard. It's very hard. I I mean, being a caregiver is difficult in itself. Um, it was so difficult to the point where I got seriously ill twice during my time here. I had shingles twice. Um, I thought I was having a heart attack at one point, and I had to go to the emergency room and get a stress test. And I picked up a good, I would say, 50 more pounds since being here. So my health is not where I want it to be. And of course, that's affecting me mentally as well. But just to watch the once vibrant retired teacher, Miss Independent, Miss I love to go shopping all the time, Miss I I can do it myself. I love the autonomy. To see her reduced to a shell of a person slowly, gradually. Um, a year ago, she was still able to sit up by herself and feed herself and walk with some assistance with her walker. But 6 months ago or so, her health started declining. And, I had to, oh gosh, I had to like really carry her sometimes, literally carry her. And I'm short and she's short, but she's heavy. She was heavy. She probably weighed 100 pounds, probably 100 pounds, if that. And it was hard getting her in and out of the bed into the bathroom. So I just got to the point where, if you have to go poop or something, you can go in your diaper and I'll change you. And I'm not complaining. I know it was the dementia doing this, but she also has separation anxiety. And before she got on her meds, which were like 3 months ago, her latest meds, she would ring her little bell all throughout the night, just for anything. Sometimes to see where I was, or to say she had to pee, and she knew that she could just go and pee in her pamper. Or uh, up until like 3 months ago, she would say she didn't know why she rang the bell, or that she didn't ring the bell when clearly she did. But her health really took a turn. Um, I would say about a month ago, about 2 months ago, she got less verbal. She became less verbal, and she was sleeping more and eating less. And I noticed that her feet had started modeling, and her fingertips were turning blue, and her earlobes around her ear, the rims of her ear were turning blue, and the nurses pointed that out to me. um I didn't know what it was, to be honest. I didn't know what to look for, but they told me that those were the signs of her body shutting down. I didn't want to believe it. I did not want to believe it. And I remember we used to, I would sit her up in her walker and put her in front of the TV, and we would both eat dinner and discuss Wayne Brady and Let's Make a Deal, or Steve Harvey and Family Feud. She loved those shows. Um, and then it would be weeks and weeks of incessant crying and whining, and I would ask her, "Are you hungry? Are you wet? Are you soiled? Are you in any pain?" And sometimes, a lot of the times, she said her legs were hurting her. So I would give her gabapentin or something like that. But about 4 weeks ago, or a little bit over, she would be crying, and she said that she didn't know why she was crying. She didn't know why. And of course, me working a full-time job from home, being on the phones and customer service, it was very difficult to tend to her and do my job properly. Um, and so it became very difficult. It became very difficult. So in January, I took a 12-week FMLA, and on January, I'm sorry, not January, but April the 7th, which was, 3 weeks ago, my sister, whom I hadn't spoken to in at least a year, my younger sister, the middle one, she said she had a dream that someone died and she was coming over to see mom. So when she walks in, she was shocked at mom's state. And, she was very frail. She had lost a lot of weight. She was nearly catatonic. Um, and my sister's like, "Oh, I didn't know it was this bad." And she took that one look at her and she's like, "Kat, I don't think she's going to make it till September." And I'm like, "Don't say that. Don't say that." She's like, "But just look at her. Do you think she's going to make it to September?" And I'm like, "I mean, with God, anything's possible, right?" That's me. I'm always the wishful thinker, the hopeful one. So anyway, she started coming over, you know, um, and on April the 7th, um, she and my baby sister and our baby sister came over. My baby sister's three youngest kids, who are all teenagers, um, and my cousin, who is my mom's nephew, whom she hasn't seen in probably, oh gosh, maybe 8 years or so. Probably 8 years, maybe 5 to 8 years. She hadn't seen him. Um, and of course, my mom's firstborn niece, who's in her 60s, she hadn't seen my mom in decades. And so we were all here, and you know, my mom, she acknowledged, people. She was crying and everything, and I was just glad that everyone was here to see her. But they left, and the following few weeks up until now, April the 23rd, which was yesterday, my sister, my younger sister, who's also a nurse, she she would come by. She comes by a few times a week, like 2 or 3 times a week, to help relieve me, of course, especially so I can do my job in my bedroom, and feed my mom, bathe her, change her, things like that. Now my mom also has she had a CNA that would come in 3 times a week as well. So I I I could just take all of the help needed. Um, but the thing is, on Sunday, well, actually, about a week ago, my mom, she, no, not a week ago, I would say 2 weeks ago, she started having difficulty, chewing, and it seems like she was forgetting how to swallow her food or liquids. And her nurse specifically told me, give her something like baby food or pureed something or oatmeal or cream of wheat or things like of that nature. So I started doing that, and I would notice that she would start not choking, but it seems like the food or the liquid would pool in the back of her throat, and she couldn't get it down. As much as she tried, she couldn't get it down. And this had gone on for about a week or two, I would say. And eventually, she would get it all down. But I would say the last 3 days before she passed, her appetite was even less, and she was sleeping even more, and she was having even more difficulty keeping liquids, um, well, swallowing them. So I would give her her water and her Ensure or Boost, with a syringe, and she would have such difficulty swallowing it. It was like it would roll to the back of her throat, and she would start coughing and choking. And but she eventually got it down. But this past Sunday, um, especially after my sister left around 6 o'clock, and I decided to give her, some more liquid, some water, because I wanted to keep her, hydrated. Because she wasn't eating anymore, not really. And so I noticed that she kept coughing, and it seems like she was breathing through water, and that you could hear the gurgling, the gurgling, the gurgling. And she was sitting up, she was awake, doing that. And she would start crying, and that just broke my heart. That just really broke my heart, because I couldn't do anything. And I called her nurse, and she said, okay, um, give her a lorazepam, and give her, um, some more medicine, and put her oxygen mask on her. And that's what I did. And at the same time, my mom's primary nurse, um, was on a three-way call with us, with me and the on-call nurse. And they're like, is that your mom? Is that your mom, doing the noise and everything? I'm like, yeah, it is. And she's like, okay, well, I'm about 20 minutes away. I'm about 20 minutes away or so. And so I'm like, okay, okay. And so I just tried to, I lured her. Well, she had a hospital bed, uh, set up in the living room. I would lower her down a little bit, lower the head of her bed down, to see if it would, if that would help. And then I would sit her up a bit to see if, gravity could do its thing. And she was, her breathing was so labored. And again, it was the gurgling sound, and which I found out which was the death rattle. Now, I read that the death rattle happens because the secretions, um, pool in the back of the throat, and they can't get them down. And but from what I read, that could go on for hours or days. You know, I wasn't expecting what happened to happen. And so I was sitting right across from my mom, at my computer, and I'm still watching her, monitoring her. And my mom, when she would sleep, she would jerk and, be fidgety and things. She didn't know what she was doing, of course, but she was, she would be jumpy in her sleep. And so all of a sudden, I just noticed that she was quiet. And I'm thinking, wow, that medicine is working. And so I went over there. I took the oxygen mask off, and I said, "Okay, mom, you all right? Are you okay?" And she was just still. Her mouth was slightly open, um, and I felt her forehead, and it was cool to the touch. Not so, it wasn't ice cold, but it was cool to the touch. And I looked at her fingertips, and they were really blue. They were turning blue, and bluer than I've ever seen them turn. And I called my son on the phone, and he said, "Mom, take her pulse. Take her pulse." And I did. I didn't feel one, and so I put my head to her chest to see if I could hear her heart. I didn't hear it. She wasn't breathing. I put my cheek to her mouth to see if I could feel any breath, and I called her nurse back, and I said, "I think she's gone." And the nurse, she offered her condolences, and she said, "Well, the other nurse is on her way." And she's like, "I just want you to hold on, just hold on." And when the nurse got here, she took one look at her and she said, "You may be right, but I'm going to do the official procedure and I'll do the check." And she did. And she said, "I'm going to call it at 10:23 p.m. That's the official time that we're going to put on the death certificate." And I was just, you know, at, at, at that time, my younger sister had walked in, and we were just dumbfounded. We were just dumbfounded. Um, I'm looking over at my mom, and I'm like, wow, she's really gone. But the thing is, she was gone anyway. She's been going for the last 2 months or so, because she had stopped reaching for her bell and ringing it. She had stopped having conversations with me. She was sleeping all the time, and she she just she didn't have a lot to say, and her speech was, her words were mumbled, and I could barely make out what she was saying, the last 2 months. And but I went over to her, of course, before my anyone came in here, and I said, "Mom, you didn't even tell me goodbye." And she slipped away peacefully, I would say, in her sleep, you know um but what I realized is that from the day that I got here, she had been telling me goodbye in her own way. And I am so grateful that I was able to be there for her, because she cried so many times saying that she didn't want to go to a nursing home. And I promised her, I said, "Mom, I'm not putting you in a home at all." And of course, my younger sister suggested this a little while ago, that um, we're probably going to have to put her in a home. And I'm like, "No, we're not. Besides, I have power of attorney. I'm not putting my mom in a nursing home." But the thing is, I would say about 6 months ago, and even before, I was at a breaking point. I've had, I would say, two nervous breakdowns since I've been here. I've started anxiety meds, because being a sole caregiver, it's so, so stressful. It's so stressful. And I would pray to God for mercy for both of us, for her and for me, because I was at a point where I knew that if I continued down this path, as noble as it is, I was going to injure myself somehow. Um, you know, um, my body wasn't just going to take it anymore. My mind, my mentality, my mental, my emotional just wasn't going to take it. And so, yes, I often prayed for mercy, and I often prayed for mercy with her, and she would pray for mercy. And, it towards the end, she would say that she wants to go home to see her mom and her twin brother, who died um, a month before she had a stroke. And that's the reason why I came down here, because um, the apartment managers, I had them do a wellness check on her, because I hadn't heard from her all night or all day. And that's not like her, because I've talked to my mom every single day for the last, I would say, 40 years. Guys, I'm Gen X, okay? So you get it. But anyway, I, I can say that I'm relieved, because my mom, she had so many regrets. She wanted to do so many things. Although she was a retired teacher, my mom always wanted to, go into the arts. In fact, um, I finished a book with her around Christmas time. a children's picture book, of course. And and I told her about it. I don't think she remembered it, you know, but I did it anyway, and it will be, of course, it's about our life, anyway. And but it got to the point where she would cry all the time, cry in her sleep, cry when she's awake. And I'm thinking that it was probably about regret, things that she should have done that she didn't get a chance to do. But for me, my son told me, he's like, Mom, you don't have anything holding you back now. Because my thing was, even when I was in New York, I still felt guilty because I was so far away from my mom. But in order to do what I really wanted to do, which was pursue theater like I did, and I'm still doing, I had to move to New York. And my mom, she sent me off with her blessing. She's like, follow your heart. So I went to New York to do my MFA program in theater. And it was a blast. I had a blast. So I'm just looking back and thinking back. Um, I don't know. I know that I need to do something with my life. I'm not quite sure. There are so many, I have a million and one ideas, and I know they're great ideas. But for so many years, I think it was fear that prevented me from even pursuing them. Because the thing is, of the million things and projects that I've accomplished in New York, I've done them well, but I didn't give them 100%, if you know what I mean. And and I'm and then as long as I have breath in my body, I can always redo them. You know, I can still, do those things, but don't have the weight of guilt that I left my mom behind. And so that's why, this channel is called Just Being Real with Myself. A Gen Xer trying to get and maintain my shit. So just to get it together. And another thing about me, I've suffered from depression for over 30 years. And and it all stems from, when my ex left over something stupid that I did. I own what I did. I mean, I didn't cheat on him physically, but mentally and emotionally I did. And I guess some guys take that harder. I don't know. Maybe it is just as bad as physically cheating on someone. But he wasn't meeting the needs that I thought. Well, I thought he wasn't meeting my needs because, again, I was an artist. I wanted to go to New York even back then, and he didn't want to. He wanted to stay here in Texas. And I'm like, this is not. And the thing is, he was such a nice guy, such a nice guy. He treated me with respect, and me being as young as I was what 20, what 2 or whatever. Um, I could kick myself for that, but that's pretty much where my depression stems from. Um, the bulk of it. But back to losing my mom. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can only move forward, and it would be a disservice to her memory for me to not pursue my goals and become the person and the artist that I always wanted to become. Even for her to become the artist that she wanted to become. So I don't know. It's now Wednesday. My mom passed on Sunday, and I haven't had a hard cry yet. I don't know if I will. Um, who knows? It could strike at any time, any place. But right now, I think I'm in shock. I'm in shock. I mean, I'm never gonna have a conversation with my mom again, and that hurts. That hurts. I'm never gonna have a conversation with her. Well, not in this life, in heaven, you know. But I'm in no hurry to get to heaven. I mean, I'm Gen X, of course, and of course people die at babies die. But there's still so much that I want to do in in and for the world. There's so much I want to do. And I know that I have to lose this excess weight because it's not healthy. Um I got to reverse this pre-diabetes and this fatty liver. I got to reverse those things. Um, those are my main concerns, along with the weight. And, did I say I was single? Yes, I'm single. And I haven't dated in nearly 10 years. And, I haven't been with anyone in, almost that long, because, sex, I think it's not such a big thing to me because I haven't met the right one yet, the one that really loves me. So maybe it will become a big deal then when I meet him. But I don't want to become um, that cat lady. Not really. I don't want to. I love cats. I love cats though. Um, I don't want to be that. I want someone to love me, and I do mean properly and truly love me like I've never been loved before. Because I'm a loving person. And the thing with me is, I give it my all to someone, almost to the point where it could hurt me that I love so hard. And I've given my love to the wrong men, and they just broke my heart or they took me for granted. But I look at my mom, her life, she never remarried after my dad. And I I know she was heartbroken too. And I look at the women in my family, my two younger sisters, and even my grandmother. We've yet to find a genuine, true love. And I gotta break that curse. That curse is gonna be broken with me. It must. But I don't want to have any regrets. I don't know how I'm gonna handle the days that that my mom's not here. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I gotta pack up her apartment, give her clothes away, um, and sell sell. Well, no, I'm not selling her furniture. Furniture is going to my sister, but and I have to go back to New York, knowing that I'm never coming back to see her again. And I'll be picking up her ashes because I decided on a direct cremation because I don't want to sound petty, but no one was there for my mom but me. And no one else deserves to see her at a funeral. Because if you didn't show up for years, if you didn't show up to see my mom or to check in on her or even to call her, damn it, you don't have the right to attend her funeral. So, yes, I'm petty. I am petty. I'll pick up her ashes this week, and maybe in the summer or the fall, I don't know. Maybe I'll organize a memorial right outside of Austin and bury her ashes next to my grandmother, because my mom was calling for her mom, so she wanted to go see her mom. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do, because I'm all alone in this world. Because my son, he's gonna be getting married soon and starting his own family. And I lost my best friend. I lost my best friend in this whole world. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to cope with this, because the last person I lost was my grandmother, and that was 35 years ago. And I took that pretty bad, pretty hard. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know my mom would want me to keep living and do the best to become that philanthropist that I said I always wanted to become, to be a patron of the arts, because that's how I was raised. That's my mom's world. She was involved in stuff like that. The art. She's the one who introduced me to the arts. So, guys, how do you cope with grief? How have you lost a parent? Your mom or your dad. Have you lost them? Your grandparents? How do you cope? What do you do? So, I'm signing off, and this is Kat, or Kaz, and I'm just being real with myself and you, of course. So, I'm going to try to do weekly talks like this, or something similar, or some other kind of podcast, because there's lots of things I could talk about, from being perimenopausal, which is a trip in itself, to dating in New York, which is, oh goodness. Um, let me not get angry with myself. Um, there's a lot that I want to talk about on this channel. There is no niche. I am the niche. So, talk to you all later. Bye.